Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Fox Business. Now this was published from where it says 20 hours ago, I'm assuming on June 12th. It's from the Wall Street Journal. The long arm of state tax law threatens telecommuters. If your job is based in New York, you may be on the hook for taxes there, even if the pandemic has you seeking refuge across state lines. Now here's the thing. You should only be charged, say, state income tax if you live in one state and work in another. The state you work in, yeah, I can see them going for income tax. The state you live in, yeah, I can see it. But it should be for the only time you're working there, if that's the case. You know, I mean, because Massachusetts, if you work in New Hampshire, they nail you for fucking income tax. If you live in New Hampshire and work in Mass, they nail you for income tax. Massachusetts is like that. New York, though, is a little bit fucking psychotic in their shit. I mean, we got to go through this because this is some fucked up shit. When you have some states cucking to New York and giving people tax credit for paying New York income tax, there's a fucking problem. How about you grow a set of balls as a state and go, no, New York, fuck you. How about you take less from them because they live in our state? Fuck off and die. But no, they cuck and they take less money, which ends up hurting them. But got to keep New York happy. Connecticut is known for that. The new popularity of remote work is putting spotlight on income taxes that New York and 5 other states impose on workers living out of state. My last column took a nationwide look at how the states are taxing or not taxing remote workers who took refuge there due to the pandemic. This one will focus on a single controversial rule that will likely affect thousands of New Yorkers and others whose offices were closed this year due to the pandemic. The rules of importance will grow as out-of-state telecommuting becomes more common, especially if more states adopt it. This is the thing. If you're telecommuting, if a company's based in New York, but you're working in another fucking state, and you live in that state, New York should be told to go fuck themselves on collecting state income tax. You're working in another state. You're telecommuting. And their idea is, well, you're choosing to telecommute, so you got to pay the taxes. This is some seriously ridiculous shit. This is why anyone who makes any decent amount of money is moving the fuck out of New York City. This is why you have people leaving. They don't understand this. These idiots on the left don't understand that they are creating the situation that's causing people to leave by doing this type of shit. They need to get a clue. It is known as the convenience rule. Oh my God. Fucking thing reloaded the page. It's known as the convenience rule. In a nutshell, it says that if a person has a job based in one state but lives and works in another state out of convenience rather than because the employer requires it, then that person owes income tax to the state where the job is based. So basically, if a company hires someone to do a job and they telecommute for that job, the state is the one who gets to decide whether or not that's a matter of convenience or not. That is fucked up. Well, you're just choosing as a matter of convenience to commute from home. What? It's a telecommuting position. What do I have to drive into New York City to make you fucking happy? Oh wait, no, then you would still fucking tax me. It's like they almost want people to go in on a fucking Starbucks to say, well, you choose. I think they would mandate that. You got to go to a coffee shop and do your telecommuting work from there in the confines of New York. That way we make sure we get our tax money. And when that ain't happening, we're still going to get it some way. Then they literally are the ones who get the arbiters who get to decide if someone's working at home or out of the office as a matter of convenience. That's not right. And then they take that power because they want to be able to dictate that they're getting fucking income tax. This is disgusting. In other words, someone with a New York-based job who lives and telecommutes from another state still owes full income tax to New York on that compensation. If the other state taxes that income as well and doesn't give credit for the New York tax, as some states don't, the worker will likely be double taxed. So, wait a minute. other states should fucking lose out on state income tax. I mean, I'm against state income tax, but with the fact of these other states should cut to New York. That's what they're saying here. Or these people are going to get double taxed. How about they stand up to New York and tell them to go fuck themselves? I mean, fight them in court. Take them to federal court and say, well, New York is, forcing us to give credits to people. Because it's like the fucking mob. Because that's what this mentality is. It's basically the idea of the mob here. I mean, I've used this analogy in another video tonight, but it's true. This is basically the idea of the mob. All right, you have New York, who's like the head honcho crime boss. He's the Don. All right, and the Don is saying, look, you got to kick all your money back up to me. So here's the deal. You're going to take some of your protection money. You're going to give them a credit on that because they're paying it to me. So you're basically going to write off the debt that they have because I say so. Even though I'm getting the money. That's horseshit. How many loan sharks are going to be out there and be happy about the boss, the mob boss doing that? They got a marker out there. They want to get their money in the VIG, and the boss comes in and says, sorry. Guess what? They're paying me. You got to give them credit. That's bullshit. Here's real life. All right. Here's a real life example. Here's real life example. It would be here's a real life example. Professor Edward Zielinski, who teaches tax law at Yeshiva University's Cardozo Law School in Manhattan, lives in New Haven, Connecticut. Typically, he spends about 50% of his workdays in New York City and the rest in Connecticut. Okay? And at most, New York should only be able to get that 50%. But no, they deemed that because they're the arbiters, should collect on every penny he's earned. The U.S. Supreme Court has held that states can only tax non-residents and their in-state earnings, which are often determined by the number of days they are physically present. Okay. The Supreme Court ruled that, but New York says, fuck the Supreme Court. Mr. Zielinski thinks he should owe New York income tax only 50% of his earnings from Cardozo because he's in New York on that percentage of workdays, which the Supreme Court says they can only go for. New York disagrees with the Supreme Court. In 2003, the New York Court of Appeals, the state's highest ruled that Mr. Zielinski owed New York income tax on his entire Cardozo salary. He says that cost him about $6,000 in New York tax for each of the 2 years in question. Other New York cases on the issue have reached the same conclusion, when the Supreme Court has said otherwise. Why don't they fight this? Take it to federal court, because you've got the Supreme Court saying, the highest court in the fucking land, saying this is what they can do. And New York's going, no, fuck you. We're going to do this. Like they're fucking mobsters. All right, New York needs to get bitch slapped for this shit. Put in their fucking place. Mr. Zielinski asked the Supreme Court to review his case, but in 2004, it declined to. Federal law requires state tax cases to be contested in state courts. Yes, but the thing is they are in violation of a Supreme Court ruling. This should at least go to the federal appeals court level, to a federal court. Not necessarily the Supreme Court, but it should go to a federal court. Meanwhile, Mr. Zielinski also owed state tax on all his income to Connecticut because he's a resident there. Beginning in 2020, Connecticut has changed its rules and is providing him and others in similar situations with a credit for New York taxes paid, which is complete and total bullshit because they're losing out on the money that they would normally get. But Connecticut cucked to New York because they're like, we got an offer for you, Connecticut, that you can't refuse. And if you do refuse it, you're going to end up in cement shoes, if you catch my drift. That's bullshit. But he says that for decades he owed state income taxes on his Cardozo compensation twice with no offsetting credit from either state. Right, and the thing is New York should only be able to collect taxes on income from when you're physically there, if that's how they're going to play it, especially with how the Supreme Court says that's all they can do. New York isn't alone in exerting the convenience rule. Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, Nebraska, and Pennsylvania also have it, according to Eileen Schur, who tracks state taxes at the American Institute of CPAs. Oh, so that's why Connecticut did it. Maybe they're hoping that New York will allow them to do the same fucking thing. I doubt it, but hey, cuck to New York, maybe they'll cut you a bone. I doubt it. Whatever. But New York has by far the most aggressive enforcement, say tax specialists. Unlike other states, New York has employers report all of workers' compensation on a special box on the W-2 form, not just the amount with New York taxes withheld. This enables state auditors to compare taxpayers' total compensation with just the portion earned in New York to spot those they want to look at further. Yeah, so basically, they have the special number put down there so they can know exactly every fucking penny and then go, well, guess what, asshole? We're going to nail you for every fucking penny. That's bullshit. This is why people are moving out of New York. This is why people think New York is a tax-laden fucking shithole. Having employers report all compensation is like a neon sign highlighting the best audit prospects, says Mary Hevener, an attorney who is a compensation specialist with Morgan Lewis and Baucus. Well, yeah, that's exactly why they do it. This year's wrinkle in the convenience rule is that many people are working remotely, not because they want to, but because their offices have been closed. Yes, exactly. That's another thing. They're going to use this to go after people's income when these people have no choice on where they're working. It's not a matter of fucking convenience. It's a matter of the fucking situation. Will that change how the rule applies in 2020, especially in New York? Mark Klein, an attorney and chairman for Hodgson Russ, a law firm that has battled New York in many tax cases, doubts it. State coffers are already strained by the decline in tax revenue due to the pandemic shutdown. So yeah, basically they're going to ignore the convenience rule and say you're working at home. You know, the fact that it's a matter of convenience under the convenience rule, they're going to say, well, you're working at home. That's your convenience. Whereas they have to work at home because they have no fucking choice. They could be sitting on their ass, not without a source of income, and because they're sitting on their ass without a source of income, the only way that would happen is if they quit their job, which means they wouldn't be collecting unemployment. New York is such a scumbag fucking place. I mean, it is like the mob. I don't give a shit if you're forced to stay at home. You're working from there. Pay me. It's fucking ridiculous. It would be fair for New York to give a break from the convenience rule for 2020, but I don't think it will because the history of the issue with the present budget crisis, says Mr. Klein. Yeah, exactly, because New York spends way more fucking money than it should be, all right, and it overextends itself. These people are going to have to suffer because of the pandemic and pay fucking taxes that they wouldn't normally pay. That's bullshit. And you know that they're going to use this in the future, what's going on now, to be able to do it whenever they fucking want. Even when, for whatever reason, they go, oh, it's a matter of convenience. Look, during the pandemic, when people had no choice, it was a matter of convenience. Oh, so guess what? To you, even though you're forced to work out of state, for whatever reason, in the future, they're going to pull this, and they're going to be like, so for whatever reason, fuck you, pay us. Because that's a matter of convenience, even though, a cataclysmic event or some shit happened. I wish this thing would stop resetting. Now I got to scroll all the way back down here. Oh, God. I mean, that's what they're going to do, though. So, all right. A spokesman for New York's Department of Taxation and Finance declined to comment on the issue. Of course they did, because they know the situation looks really fucking shitty. For more than a decade, the American Institute of CPAs, the Council on State Taxation, and other groups have sought several federal legislation to simplify state taxation of non-residents. The effort is broad bipartisan support, and a version passed the House of Representatives in 2017 before stalling in the Senate. Another bill will repeal the convenience rule. Well, the convenience rule should be banned, should be removed. That's complete bullshit. It basically turns the state into an arbiter, and they get to decide whether or not you're working from home as a convenience or not. So like with the pandemic, even though your place of business is closed and they need to continue to operate, you're staying at home as a convenience to you. That's how they're going to nail people. On June 4th, Senator John Thune, Republican, South Dakota, urged the Senate to enact changes in light of the pandemic. Says Mr. Zelensky, I often get calls about the convenience rule, and all I can tell people is to call their Congress members. Yeah, because the convenience rule is complete bullshit. This is like the idea of, if I own a business in New Hampshire where there's no sales tax, other states think they have the fucking the right to demand that I collect sales tax for them. Fuck them. It's up to them to get their residents to report their shit so that they can be taxed. It isn't my responsibility, being out of state, having no ties to your state, to collect your fucking taxes for you. That's what this shit is like. It's no different. It's mob mentality. And it's Democrat states that pull this shit. It's fucking disgusting. You have someone who doesn't work in a state, who's, say, telecommuting from their home. They can say, well, it's a matter of convenience, and fucking take income from them? Fuck them. That's some seriously twisted shit. This is why I chose this article, because this goes to show how fucked the Democrats are in the head. That they think this is morally and ethically acceptable to steal people's money at gunpoint when they don't even go into your fucking state and claim you have a right to claim their income. That is fucking sleazy ass shit. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.